After the divorce between Princess Diana and Prince Charles was finalized in August 1996, the world's newspapers all printed the same short but striking sentence: Diana, Princess of Wales, will no longer be known as Her Royal Highness. To the public, it sounded like a simple formality. But inside the British monarchy, those words meant something far deeper. The title Her Royal Highness isn't just ceremonial. It represents inclusion, the highest rank within the royal family's inner circle. Anyone holding that title is treated with deference, even palace staff are required to bow. When those words were removed from Diana's name, it meant something simple but heavy: she was no longer part of the royal family. What few people know is that Queen Elizabeth II never wanted to strip the title away. The Queen understood that no matter what had happened between Charles and Diana, Diana would always be the mother of the future king, and that, in itself, mattered. According to several palace insiders and reputable biographers, the Queen privately expressed that Diana should be allowed to keep the title, if only to maintain dignity and continuity for her sons, William and Harry, but Charles disagreed. He wanted a clean break, a visible separation between his private life and his former marriage. To him, letting Diana keep the title meant keeping a shadow of their past alive. And so, despite the Queen's quiet willingness to compromise, the final decision was made: Diana would remain Princess of Wales, but without Her Royal Highness. For most of the royal establishment, it was a tidy solution. But for Diana, it marked the end of an era. A moment when she fully realized that her royal life was over, and there would be no return. When the message was relayed to her, Diana did not argue. She didn't plead, didn't protest, didn't send letters of appeal. She simply said, calmly, "I don't need a title to be the mother of William and Harry." It was a short sentence, yet it captured everything she stood for. She wasn't rejecting the monarchy, she was choosing to define herself by love, not by hierarchy. From that day forward, she stopped fighting for position. She began fighting for peace of mind. Losing Her Royal Highness came with quiet consequences. Palace staff were no longer obliged to curtsy or bow. She could no longer travel using royal aircraft. Her access to royal residences became limited and conditional. And in the official order of precedence, she was now just below the lowest-ranking working royals, a private citizen in practice. But outside the palace walls, something remarkable happened. The public's affection for Diana only grew stronger. People saw her no longer as a royal figure, but as a woman who had freed herself from a gilded cage. The press began calling her the People's Princess. The nickname wasn't created by the royal household. It was born from the public's heart. Diana had lost a title, but she had gained something far greater: the respect of ordinary people who saw themselves in her humanity. Not long after the decision, a quiet conversation took place at Kensington Palace. William, then still a teenager, looked at his mother and said softly, "Don't worry, Mummy. When I'm king, I'll give it back to you." Diana smiled. That simple sentence, spoken by her son, meant more to her than any crown ever could. She knew that he understood her pain, and that love, not protocol, was what truly connected them. The Queen herself never expressed anger over the issue. She respected how gracefully Diana accepted the outcome. Even though their relationship had often been strained, the Queen quietly admired Diana's courage in facing public storms with dignity. Diana, on her part, never spoke ill of the Queen. In private conversations, she described her as a remarkable woman, a line that reflected both honesty and restraint. Two qualities Diana carried even when her own world was falling apart. After stepping away from royal life, Diana began a new chapter as an independent woman. She stayed at Kensington Palace, not as a royal resident, but as her own person, charting her own path. She organized her own schedule, chose her own charity work, and lived without palace supervision for the first time in years. Without Her Royal Highness, she continued to inspire crowds wherever she went. Children still ran up to hug her in hospitals. When she spoke about AIDS, homelessness, or landmine victims, people listened, not out of duty, but out of trust. Gradually, the loss of her royal title stopped mattering. Diana had something far more powerful: the ability to move hearts without the weight of a crown. But that freedom came with a cost. Without royal protection, she was constantly hounded by the press. She lived between two worlds, adored by millions, yet often alone and vulnerable. Even so, she never regretted giving up her title. In one interview, when asked if she missed royal life, Diana answered quietly, "No. I'm happier this way. I feel like I can finally be myself." That line says everything. It was never about rejection, it was about rediscovery. She was no longer Her Royal Highness, but she had become Diana, simply, and fully, herself. When she died a year later, in 1997, the entire world mourned as if they had lost a member of their own family. On the day of her funeral, millions filled the streets of London. And though officially she was no longer Her Royal Highness, every head bowed as her coffin passed. No protocol. No command. Just love, raw, quiet, and universal. Perhaps that's the most profound irony of all. When the crown took her title away, the world gave her a new one, a title no monarch could ever bestow or remove. The Princess of Hearts. The princess who lost her crown, but forever ruled through kindness.